Well, it did not go Indiana's way here Friday night. Got to get used to that. Friday night football. It was a pretty bad blowout against Notre Dame. Although the final score made it look a little better. Indiana was great the last 8 minutes of the game. But we're going to talk about it here. Immediate reaction moving forward. Two more Big Ten teams in action tomorrow. Locked On Big Ten Live starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten Live. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer. And I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Well, Indiana had a great season, and now it's over. And we'll discuss things about strength of schedule. They were good. How good were they? And Notre Dame moves on. Penn State and Ohio State playing tomorrow, or if you're watching this later on as we crawl into Saturday morning, later today. And we'll have our final thoughts and picks on those games tomorrow, in case you missed our regularly scheduled Friday podcast here on Locked On Big Ten. Indiana off to a really slow start in this football game. Obviously, everybody was all very excited. Brutally cold weather up there in Notre Dame and in South Bend. IU goes 3-and-out right away. Then Notre Dame, Riley Leonard, he throws an interception. It was tipped. D'Angelo Pons gets the interception, and Indiana has some momentum and started moving the ball, looking like they were going to do something early. But then Curtis Rourke made a big mistake, forced a ball into coverage at the 2-yard line. It was intercepted by Notre Dame, and that was only his 5th interception of the year. He typically does not make mistakes like that. It was his first red zone interception of the entire season. And the sad part was for him, he had an open receiver underneath for a freebie, but overlooked that. Meanwhile, then the next play, hard to say a backbreaker when the score is scoreless and tied, but Jeremiah Love then went 98 yards for Notre Dame for a touchdown, and they took a 7-0 lead. So Indiana started out really committed to the run game. It really wasn't going anywhere. They're big on RPO, but Rourke kept looking, and the way the defense was, they kept running the ball right into a wall. Justin Elsig had a 10-yard run. Tyson Lawton had a 22-yard run. So it started moving a little bit. But Curtis Rourke, again, who's a very accurate and efficient passer, started out 1 for 6. He seemed like his touch was long and it was off all night. And then IU's punting was horrible. Their first punt was 20 yards to the 17-yard line. And that's how we ended up at the end of the first quarter. Notre Dame with the ball up 7-0, but moving. At this point, a couple observations I had, and your comments are always welcome on YouTube as well here, because I got those live immediate reaction. But I thought IU's gap responsibility on defense, this first time all year, they were really just out of sorts in that aspect. Defense was poor, and I thought their edge containment defense was really poor. Notre Dame was able to get out with some speed onto the outside a lot. Kind of made me think like, all right, these were a lot of James Madison guys playing at a higher level. And Notre Dame was big boy, faster, speedier football. That's what it looked like to me. And the only other game that Indiana had that was just going nowhere was the Ohio State game. And I didn't get that much of a feeling that, the talent was that much different. It was, no, don't get me wrong. Ohio State had a much more loaded roster, but I think it was as visible. Like Indiana played with Ohio State. They shot themselves in the foot with 2 special teams plays in that game. This Notre Dame game, Notre Dame just seemed faster and just scheming to the outside and just a different level in this game. Be curious to see what you guys thought on that. Meanwhile, talk about the drive that Notre Dame was on at the end of the first quarter going into the second quarter. It was a 16-play drive. So think about this. 16 plays, 83 yards. You just gave up a 1-play, 98-yard drive, and then Notre Dame grinds you for a 16-play, 83-yard drive that took 9 minutes. Kind of felt like the game was right there. out of reach. They scored a touchdown to make it 14-0. Riley Leonard hooking up with Jaden Thomas for 5 yards for the touchdown. I mean, it wasn't over, but it felt really bad there. And then IU got the ball again and punted another bad punt for 30 yards. And Notre Dame got the ball back. Now, this is where IU's defense, I thought, started improving from their bad start. They had a tipped pass, stuffed a run, got off the field. Notre Dame punts the ball. At this point, like I said, IU feels like they got to get something going. And their passing game started to move a little bit. Rourke got settled down somewhat. It came down to a 4th and 4 at the 17-yard line. Indiana looked like they were going to go for it, but then they called a timeout. It was just too much, 4th to 4th. You just had the feeling they weren't going to get it. They got to get something at that point and get points on the board. And they got a field goal, a 34-yard field goal, capping off a 9-play drive. Nicholas Radicic with the kick. And so Indiana's on the scoreboard. They're down 14-13, but they really needed points there, and they got it. But then Notre Dame answered with a 49-yard field goal right before the half to get those 3 points back. And that's where we were, 17-3. Just Indiana, nothing. They're a high-scoring offense, 38 points a game this year, 3 points. And it was that way for much of the second half before their scoring flurry at the end. Notre Dame comes out. Remember, they won the toss at the beginning of the game. And so they deferred. So they got the opening kickoff of the second half, and they run a trick play, a reverse, and they got to midfield. Again, just breaking Indiana's spirit a little bit there. Notre Dame did botch that drive, though. They had to delay a game, and then after 3 plays, Indiana forced them to punt. So, okay, so things were bad, but Indiana toughened up right there. IU's back at the 12-yard line. Then they get sacked for an 8-yard loss. They get sacked again. They're down at 3. They got a punt. Nothing happened with that. Notre Dame's at midfield. Offensive line at this point is really taking control of the game over the Indiana defense, just kind of doing whatever they want up front. And, there was the one play on this drive where Indiana had Notre Dame stop with James Carpenter hit Riley Leonard late. And it was automatic first down to the 12-yard line. They did hold them to a field goal. Indiana with a break there eventually. And so it was 20-3 with 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. Indiana punts again, can't get anything going. Credit to Notre Dame's defense, too. They had it schemed perfectly. Jeremiah Love, this was the final real backbreaker for Indiana. Notre Dame had about Jeremiah Love, this guy that had the big run earlier, looked like he was going to be tackled for a loss of about 3, and he just stiff-armed his way to a 7-yard gain. I think he was up to 99 yards at that point. And Indiana missed a lot of tackles tonight, very uncharacteristically. Notre Dame tries to kick another field goal, 37-yarder. To Indiana's credit, they block it, but then they can't do anything when they get the ball back. They punt again. And then Riley Leonard hooks up with Jordan Faison for 44 yards down to the 1. And then Riley Leonard ends up walking in for another exclamation touchdown. It was his 15th rushing touchdown of the year. That's a Notre Dame record, by the way, for him and a quarterback. It's now 27-3 with under 5 minutes to go. And that capped off another 9-play, 78-yard drive. That's when Indiana woke up. They put together a 12-play drive. Rourke finds Miles Price for a touchdown with a minute and a half to go. Elijah Surratt gets the 2-point conversion. So it's 27-11 at that point. Probably the best play of the night for Indiana, the onside kick. It was the most beautifully executed late high bounce kick that they were able to get. They got the onside kick, put together another scoring drive, 8 plays, 50 yards, 23-yard touchdown pass to Omar Cooper for the touchdown. They do not get the 2-point conversion. That's how the final score came to be, 27-17. Again, not nearly as close as that score would indicate. It was 27-3 for a long time late into the ball game. So anyway, a lot of the talking heads, a lot of people, and a lot of podcasts, even right here, we'll talk about, is it fair to talk about, Indiana? They finished the season at 11-2 as Notre Dame now moves on. They'll take on Georgia on New Year's Day in the next round of the playoffs. Georgia with a bye. I don't know if Carson Beck's going to play. He really injured his arm in the SEC championship. And then the question goes back to Indiana. A lot of the transfer kids had 1 year left. I know 13 kids came with Kurt Signetti from James Madison, and they had 1 year of eligibility left. So he's going to have to kind of restart. And there'll be a lot of question marks about, well, did Indiana benefit from having a less challenging schedule, shall we say, this year? All fair questions. All fair questions. What say you? Well, I'll get your comments here. Love to hear from you on all of that. Couple of quick programming notes. As we're live right now, Friday night into Saturday morning. Saturday night we'll go live again after the Ohio State game around 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific. We won't go live after the Penn State game because I want both games to be done. I want the Penn State SMU game at noon to be over, and then the Tennessee Ohio State game, and we'll come on live here. So tell all your friends and all your Big Ten friends and our subscribers here at Locked On Big Ten. We'll go live right after the Tennessee Ohio State game and talk both about the Ohio State game and the Penn State game with your reaction and your comments, just like here. We'll get to some of those comments and we'll take a look at those two games for Saturday night in just a minute. And I want to ask you, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe. We always ask you to do that. We don't go live all the time. We go live after big events. We're live here now. So we get a lot of new listeners and viewers that way. So we ask you to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. It's free. It's always free. And then you can follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcasts and get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every day, because we do this every day. We are out there. We are your source for Big Ten news, opinion, and analysis right here. Also, you may see a crawl here on the bottom, talkbig10.com. Remember that? Bookmark it, talkbig10.com. All of our podcasts go there chronologically, and we also group them by schools. If you're an Indiana fan, this will be under Indiana. We also have links there. You can see for some last second Christmas shopping. We have links where you can buy Big Ten merchandise, Indiana hats, maybe Ohio State pennants, Penn State t-shirts, Oregon Ducks mascot, all that kind of stuff. Coffee mugs from your favorite Big Ten teams right there at talkbig10.com. That's talkbig10.com. You can check that out. And get some shopping done for sure. All right. Also, in addition to you subscribing, we're going to take a look at those two games for Saturday night and our final picks, final word on all of that. And I'm going to get to your comments in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten Live. Rocket Money. Did you know that Rocket Money can help you find all of your subscriptions and maybe some you forgot about, maybe you're paying twice for? Rocket Money, making it easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. And it brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, spending habits, even your goals that you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $750 a year when you use all the app premium features that they have. So cancel your unwanted subscriptions, reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked-on today. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on, rocketmoney.com/locked-on. Hey, if you want to go to a game, maybe a Big Ten basketball game, maybe the college football championship, you need a ticket. And whether it's a sporting event or whether it's an event in your neighborhood like a concert or a comedy show, if it needs a ticket, you can get the ticket at Game Time with the Game Time app. Download it on your devices, probably your phone. It's super easy. A couple clicks, you get all the tickets right there. Great prices. In fact, they have their all-in pricing, so they don't trick you. It's right there up front. And they have the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% the difference of the price. They have seat views of a picture of this from the seat of the ticket you're about to buy before you buy. It's all very easy. You take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account. Use the code LOCKDOWNCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKDOWNCollege. That's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. For $20 off. Download Game Time today. What is it? It's Game Time. As we continue here on Locked On Big Ten Live, thank you for making us your first listen each and every day, especially every dayers out there. Meanwhile, be sure to subscribe and share and follow and like Locked On Big Ten. That really helps us out. Would really appreciate it. If you're in the Christmas spirit, go ahead and subscribe. It's free. Also, don't forget our website, talkbig10.com, where all of our podcasts and your Big Ten merchandise shopping for your favorite school right there. All right, let me take a look at a couple of comments on this game before we look ahead to Penn State and Ohio State and see what's going on. And we got some Irish fans. Garen, congratulations to your Fighting Irish. Matt says Sean McDonough was obnoxious. That's funny because I typically like him, and I was thinking the same thing. I really, at the end, when he just really started hammering the Hoosiers on the schedule. I know I brought it up. It's a fair point to bring up, but he kept driving it home on the scheduling and really was kind of ripping Indiana. I didn't care for that. Apparently you didn't either. Let's see. Booyah, man. Tennessee, please beat Ohio State and go Ducks. Okay. I see where you're going. Donnie checking in. Great job, Craig. Thank you. Hoosiers now have something to build upon. Offense wins games. Defense wins championships. Better luck next year. Thank you very much. For those that don't know, yeah, I love all Big Ten teams, but I am an Indiana grad. So that was disappointing personally for me today. Rob checking in with a bunch of duck emojis. And also the onside kick was great. I guess it might have been their best play of the night. Let's see here. He also says, looking forward to seeing Indiana come to Autzen Stadium next year. Yeah, it's, they won't be able to say they didn't play anybody next year. They got Oregon on the schedule at Oregon. That's for sure. Bob checking in. Big Ten brought in Pac-12 cupcakes. Half the Big Ten not having a winning record. The committee says they have 3 of the top 6 teams. The committee is a fraud. Well, I will tell you this. I don't know if you noticed, but one of the Pac-12 teams they brought in is the number 1 team in the country. I mean, really, mic drop, right? Let's see here. Anyway, thank you for those comments. Appreciate those. That's one of the cool parts about doing this show are the live immediate reaction back and forth. All right. So SMU is at Penn State Saturday, noon Eastern. It's James Franklin's chance to knock this reputation of not winning the big game, right? And these are playoff games. And this one is at home at Happy Valley. Got to win it. The subliminal story here, if you will, for the remainder of Penn State's run, however long that lasts, is backup quarterback Bo Perbula. He hit the transfer portal this week and he's gone. You just lost your more than able backup quarterback. He's probably one of the best backup quarterbacks of the country. And as you know, if you're a Penn State fan, they use him. He's not just backing up Aller back there. So if Drew Aller gets hurt, it's going to be a big problem. They got a freshman that has never played in his place. Penn State will have to hold their breath on that situation. But as long as Drew Aller is playing and the Nittany Lions, they should be fine on offense. Now, SMU, kind of the new kid on the block. You remember they begged the ACC to take them after conference realignment and all that craziness was going on. SMU needed a place to call home, and they basically offered to do it for free regarding the ACC media rights deal. So just take us. You don't have to pay us any money. We're just going to come. And if it were not for a last-second field goal by Clemson in the ACC title game, SMU would have won the ACC championship in their first year. Remarkable. The winner of that game will take on Boise State on December 31st, New Year's Eve. Tennessee at Ohio State, nighttime, under the lights. All the pressure in the world on Ryan Day and Ohio State for this game. They want to brush this Michigan loss off and brush it aside. They haven't been able to. They're still talking about it, but they need to do it in order to make a deep playoff run. And if they do that, the painful memories of that game will go away a little bit. If they lose this game to the Vols, then the loss to the team up north will be magnified. It'll be back-to-back losses at home and from the home fans. It's going to get noisy there in Columbus if they don't win this game against the Volunteers. Things could unravel a little bit in Columbus. So, and they got $20 million roster there with nil money. And the Buckeyes this year and any year are expected to win every game. Every game. I mean, it's a bit unrealistic for whoever the head coach is, Ryan Day, Urban Meyer. hey, to their credit, both of them, they've come pretty close. They really have. So with that roster, the Buckeyes will be the more talented team on the football field against the Vols. So losing is not an option on Saturday night. Will Howard's been a steady force all year, and coming off a loss, he'll steady them. That's his job, to show a lot of leadership. The winner of this game gets the number 1 undefeated Oregon Ducks in the next round. And, for the Buckeyes, that would be a rematch of the game they lost by 1 point in October. Had there been 3 more seconds left in that game, they would have won it, most likely. But, Tennessee's not going to lay down. They're not horrible. I said Ohio State's got the better roster, but Tennessee's not bad. They're not bad at all. They come battle-tested from the SEC. This isn't their first rodeo in front of 100,000 hostile fans on the road. Nighttime game, primetime national TV. They'll be ready. They'll come ready to play. And the winner of this game faces, as I said, Oregon on January 1st. Let me pop in here for a few more comments and see what's going on here. Yeah, imagine if Tennessee does beat Ohio State. The fans are going to get upset. No, Bob, the Big Ten will not go 0-3 in the college football playoff. Shots fired, huh? Look, it wasn't a good night in South Bend for Indiana, but I think, I'll give you right before we close out here today, who I think is going to win on the games on Saturday. Let's see here. Donnie wants to, Craig, am I crazy? There are 18 teams in the Big Ten in 2024, right? Why do you have 24 team pennants behind you? I don't. To count them, that's 18. And then there's one Big Ten one. So actually there's 19. That's it. That's it. I don't have too many. Although I would submit that at some point I'm going to have to find some more room on here for more. We will expand again. Might even include Notre Dame someday. They don't like it when I say that, but I think that might. Anyway, let's see who's going to be fired. Somebody wants to know. Somebody's going to be. I don't know who you're saying is going to be fired. Can't read that. And Indiana cannot compete in the ACC. I strongly disagree with that. Strongly disagree with it. They could. The ACC is very top heavy with Miami and Clemson. And I don't know what Belichick's going to do at North Carolina. But, and obviously you got to give SMU some credit. No, Indiana could definitely compete in the ACC. That's a ridiculous comment. But your comments are welcome no matter what. Let's see here. All right. I'm going to tell you what. I am going to go ahead and I want to tell you a couple messages, and then I'm going to my final picks for tomorrow. I'm going to tweak a little thing from what I did on our earlier Friday Pigskin Picks and take a quick peek at basketball as well. Why not? Big Ten basketball is underway. We'll do all that in a live edition right here of Locked On Big Ten. So it's that time of year. College football playoff is back, and with a newly expanded 12-team format, now down to 11. It's guaranteed to be bigger and better than ever, bringing you all the hard-hitting and high-flying excitement that you love. TNT Sports coverage of the college football playoff beginning Saturday the 21st, starting with the college football playoff kickoff show presented by AT&T at 11 a.m. Eastern, leading into the first matchup, SMU, the Southern Methodist University Mustangs, battling the Penn State Nittany Lions at noon. Then the Clemson Tigers look to upset the Texas Longhorns in a showdown at 4 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss a moment of the action. Watch the college football playoff presented by Allstate live on TNT, True TV, TBS, and Max. Check it out. College football playoffs. We're right in the middle of them. All right, here we are, Locked On Big Ten Live. Again, appreciate you checking us out here. We always love going live. Always get a lot of new listeners and viewers when we do this. I'm going to take a quick peek at, by the way, what was the final? I got just a quick math, 27-37. Did not hit the over tonight. Hit the under hit tonight at Notre Dame. Tomorrow, SMU and Penn State. I still think Penn State -8 gets the win. Maybe they pull away in the second half to cover that spread. And the over-under 53.5. I think we're going to go unders on all these cold weather games tomorrow night. You kind of saw the effect in South Bend. It's going to be partly cloudy and 25 degrees with a 12-mile-an-hour breeze at Happy Valley. And then at Tennessee at Ohio State, Ohio State 7.5, -7.5. Ohio State could still win, but I don't think they're going to win by 7.5. I think it's a 3 or 4 point game. So I'll take Tennessee with the points, and the over/under is a little lower here at 45.5. That seems about right, doesn't it? By the way, at 8 o'clock Eastern on Saturday night, it'll be 25 degrees, partly cloudy, 10% light wind, make a little wind chill. So that's what's going on in Columbus, Ohio. Meanwhile, since you're checking us out late Friday into early Saturday, got a big slate of men's basketball for the Big Ten on Saturday. Princeton is at Rutgers. That's part of the Never Forget Tribute Classic, 12 p.m. FS1. That's at noon. Penn State is at Drexel at noon. Chattanooga's at Indiana at noon on the Big Ten Network. Syracuse at Maryland, and the Gotham Classic at 12 o'clock on, I think that's 1:30 actually, at ESPN. Florida Atlantic is at number 20, Michigan State. That's at 2 o'clock at FS1 at Fairleigh Dickinson. Remember them. They knocked out Purdue, the 16-1 seed in the basketball NCAA tournament a couple years ago. They're at Minnesota for a 2 o'clock game of the Big Ten Network. And 18th-ranked UCLA taking on North Carolina in a blue blood matchup at the CBS Sports Classic at 3 o'clock. DePaul's at Northwestern at 4 on Big Ten Network. 16th-ranked Purdue at number 2 Auburn at 4:30 on ESPN. Ohio State is at number 4 Kentucky, also part of the against Kentucky at the CBS Sports Classic, 5:30 Eastern at CBS. And number 10 Oregon taking on Stanford in the San Jose tip-off, 8 o'clock on the Big Ten Network. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it. We're going to go live again in about 24 hours, right after the Ohio State game against Tennessee. And we'll talk about both the Buckeyes and Penn State from the earlier game against SMU. So tell all your friends, make a bookmark on your calendar, and check us out for all of that. Thank you for joining us here for our live edition. Sadly, Hoosiers season is over. Congratulations to them. They had a great season. Congratulations to Notre Dame as they go on and take on Georgia now in the next round of the playoffs. For Locked On Big Ten Live, I'm Craig Sheeman. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Thanks for joining us.